my God, things are going 100 miles an hour tonight, folks. Welcome into the blockchain basement. What's up, Mountain Magnets, Lippa Frank, Jason Hinshaw, Hazard Shot, Nicole. Oh my God. All right. So no, Donald Trump is moments away, 7 minutes out from a emergency press brief. And some big bada booms just happened. I knew things were getting a little bit weird. Things are getting a little bit weird. And you know what? People with the World War III clickbait, you know what? It's a very fruitless endeavor warning people about World War III because guess what? If I'm right and the naysayers are wrong, there is no hill for me to dance on and be like, see, I told you so, because then all shit hits the fan. Every day, the normalcy continues. The people with normalcy bias get to sit here and mock me for warning you about the impending problems with the fourth turning, with Trump launching an unprecedented attack. And this is the new American world order, man. This is gloves are coming off, folks. Gloves are coming off. So, we're going to talk about the more tangible problems I could see this turning into here in the United States. Already, there seems to be some posturing of the obvious issues that are being talked about on a kind of macroeconomic, not only macroeconomic, but geopolitical stage is absolutely getting hotter than hell right now. So let me make sure I got all of your guys' beautiful faces in front of me here. So this is the current situation. We're looking at the White House right now, waiting on a speech from Donald Trump. And make sure to let me know in the chat that the system is punching over the sound when they do actually come live here. Make sure this studio is all set up correctly. What's up, Veteran Crypto? I will drop you, Veteran. I'll drop you if you want to get in here. Drop you this information. Oh, God. I mean, this has been a lot. I was out there taking care of oh God. Oh Jesus. Let me know if you can hear it. Is sound coming over? Give me a +1 in chat. The sound's coming over. There's a weird buzzing coming from this station. Let me know if the sound's coming over for this. Is kind of, yeah, it's feedback. Yeah, that's what I hear too. Okay, so we got sound. Very ominous. That's what's coming out here. This is what's this is the audio. This is the intro audio. An emergency alert signal. Oh boy. Veteran, I'll get you this link here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. All right, got you the link, Vet. What in the world? This is not good. This is not good. Matt, yeah, dude, I do. Everyone's gonna mock me. It's not here yet. Not here yet. Normal, my grocery store's still full. And then shit will happen, and you won't see me dancing on X. See, told you it happened, right? It's either you listen and you get prepared in case it does, or you don't, and you get caught with your pants down. That's what. Flat out. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about that today. It's like nobody, exactly, Matt B. Nobody listens. And then when it happens, they're like, why didn't you warn us more? Right? Why didn't you tell us? This is not good to see the beginning of this statement with some emergency alert system. Like, what the fuck is going on right now? Okay. I bet I sent it to you in Discord. Mr. Vet. Love to have Veteran on here too. Me and Isaac were out slinging some paintball. Isaac got that patented get dusted by a 12-year-old and be humbled by getting dusted by a 12-year-old experience today. He did pretty good. He did all right. Let's see if this works too. Yeah. See if this bad boy works. This is the 15-minute chart for Bitcoin. I am not shorting this. I'm not long in this. I am not touching this chart, folks.
Good evening. Good sir.
Oh, is there an Isaac up in there?
There is. You hear me okay?
Yeah. Sound good.
Sweet.
Let's see here. All right, so it is. What are we at? 9:58. Paintballing was fun.
Paintball was fun.
So Isaac, you know how we were out there? Isaac, it sounds like you're a little loud. Let me turn you down a little bit. Let me turn you down. Thank you for the.
All right.
You can do it on your side. So we not only
let me know if that's better.
We paintballed for like what 7 hours, and then
something like that.
We I went and got some burgers. Went to Preparedness Depot, picked up a nice little fire striker, and then there's Vet. Let's get Vet up in here too. What up, Vet?
Sweet, we got Vet in here too.
What up, brother?
Just wait, Vet. Did you hear that weird intro?
Yes.
That was creepy, bro. That was creepy. I'm very interested to see how this goes. Yeah. We paintballed for like 7 hours. Then I get home and realize that my 2 acres needs mowed very badly. So did that, and then had to do all the waters to all the different chicken coops. Work on the chickens a little bit too. Bro, I sweat today. Like I have eaten 5,000 calories just to keep up with the amount of work today was. I do love mowing the grass.
Looked like you guys were putting in the work at the airsoft or paintball or whatever you were doing.
Yeah. Well, the paintball marker I use does look like an airsoft because it's got mags. And I am at a total disadvantage using mags against these dudes with the hopper. Like they got like 600 rounds.
They got that freaking they can walk the trigger. It's like turns it into an auto. It's like, you little bastard, come here.
I like swapping mags, I like practice it because it's the same. I just swap I use the same war belt and the same mags and everything like that. So
train how you fight.
That was great.
Yeah, man.
Very worth it.
And Isaac saw me running like a dork uphill at the end of every game just to like really get that good sweat
great.
in. I'm impressed. I got called a kid today. Someone said that kid's got a crazy gun. I'm like, bro.
I mean, you did have a mask on.
Well, but Drew's a freaking Sasquatch. He's like huge.
I was like, man, do I look young? Like maybe that's a good sign. Maybe I look young still. I feel old,
Oh, dude, just wait. It gets worse.
So this is creepy. We got nothing coming. Okay, here we go.
Oh, fun.
Oh, dude.
I forgot I'm still on that trade.
Have been brutal.
Yeah, you can trade with this, Rhonda. VPN, sign up, LBank. LBank or Bluefin. Join the Discord, it's free. I'll tell you when I get into trades. I leave these weekends and Friday and Monday alone. So don't yell at me for trades on the weekend because that's how I get my ass kicked. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, we
I'm
just
currently
got our live stream, and we were shouting you guys out, shouting out the Discord. Oh, here he comes.
Let's see. Oh my God.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin
Can I
Kane,
get an escape pump chat?
General, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I wish you would have said, Jesus Christ bless Israel. Holy God. Okay. Well, there it is. Speed, precision.
That's the shortest I've ever seen Trump speak.
Very short and to the point. You know, and I will go ahead and share and kind of get everyone up to speed. For anyone just tuning in, earlier today, it was announced that there were some massive strikes that were carried out by the United States military, United States Air Force particularly. I'll bring up this information right quick here, so we can, let's get this sized up the right way. Okay, so Trump told Fox News it was what are called 6 GBU 57A-B MOPs, or massive ordnance penetrators. These things are 14 tons a piece, 30,000 pounds, called bunker busters, and they're bombs dropped by the Air Force B-2A Spirit long-range stealth bombers. And vet, dude, when I saw what was being used, remember this meme? Dude, I put this out. Oh, God, I feel like weird now from this meme that I'd put out.
Oh, I saw that.
You know what I mean? You know what I meme? I put this meme out. I put this meme out like 2 days ago. And then this, you know, actually went down today. Really crazy. But you know what? All 6 bunker busters, they're out of these B2s, B2As, while 30 BGM 109s, these Tomahawk land attack missiles, were launched from submarines with the U.S. Navy at the Natanz and Isfahan nuclear facilities. Vet, I know you got all kinds of opinions about this, bro. It's something that this conflict and American involvement with Iran is splitting the MAGA movement in half. It's splitting the MAGA movement in half. And, I've been doing a lot of internal thinking. I've been, kind of really internalizing, this situation right now. Because obviously I have a problem with usury. I have a problem with the way financially the world is set up. I have a problem, I don't want to get completely demonetized right now, but I can understand the aggravation towards the state that is not Iran in this conflict between Israel and Iran. I can understand why people have been so aggravated, debanked. But then also on the other hand, I know that Iran has been trying to shut our grid off for 3 or 4 fucking decades. Right? Like, I don't think if people would have experienced what Iran was trying to do to us over the past 4 decades, they may as well have dropped a nuke on America.
It would have been worse.
So, like, seeing America kind of put the boot up the ass of Iran doesn't bother me. And you know what? I think we can fight the state of one of the strongest intelligence agencies and monetary control systems on the planet that's on the other side of this table, that sure we are militarily aligned with and in alliance with, but it's a monetary battle. And I think if we take control monetarily out of central banks, I think if we take control of Bitcoin as people and of DeFi, we can fight back, not on a war front with Bibi, but on a monetary front. So I think that these are 2 different battles in 2 different realms of life that we're going to have to fight. But I think the Bibi one can happen on the blockchain. I've really been thinking about it. I've been trying to internalize, like, what are your thoughts on this? Now, I know we're getting into really sketchy water with this, but I had to address it because it's cut people in half. People don't know who to support,
It's hard. I mean, I'll admit it. It's like I'm kind of one of those because, just I'm kind of, just from my 22 years of being in the military. I mean, I entered, during the Clinton era, served through Obama, and then got out, and of course Bush, and then got out before Trump. So, I've seen it, a lot of different things. In fact, I mean, I got it pulled up now, but I was just kind of going over the, the bunker busters and seeing if, any of that technology has changed. But my first deployment, I was in Ali Al Salim in Kuwait, is where we were waiting, for the order, for Bush to say, go into Iraq. And we had dropped, in the first war, we had dropped bunker busters on a bunch of the French built out a bunch of giant bunkers for their aircraft, and we just decimated them. I mean, they're like freaking massive structures,
right?
But yeah, I mean, to get back to the point, it's
like,
hard.
is it because I see nuance in this? I see aggravation from a military and a, just day-to-day cultural level with Iran versus the West. There's no denying that conflict has been going on, that it's been fermenting. I talked to Michael Yon. He's a very old school war reporter. Do you know that guy, Michael Yon?
I've heard the name.
He's the bald dude that goes to Panama all the time. Yeah, I had him on, and we were talking about this a few years ago.
Bigger guy, bigger guy.
Yeah. And there is no denying that on a very cultural level, with this version of that particular religious subsect, there is no peace to be found. And
that's what's hard,
right?
It is. I mean, that's where my head's at. Is I don't want war at all. I'm tired. I'm
right.
done. I'm glad I'm an old man, in living in the
Right.
woods. But there's young men like Isaac, that are joining the military and they want to serve their country. And, I'm sure a lot of them are confused. What are they
Mhm.
serving?
Mhm.
Are they serving their country? Are they serving, special interests? Are
BB's
they,
interest, right?
are they serving Israel's interests? Who the
Yeah.
fuck is running things?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I see, to your point, where the MAGA movement is split is a lot of us voted for Trump because he was going to end wars. That's what he was saying. But he's not started but involved us in these wars.
Mhm.
But you have to keep in mind that, okay, hindsight's 2020. Yeah. Was there weapons of mass destruction in Iraq?
Oh.
There wasn't.
Oh.
Was there a reason for us to go in there? Debatable. Afghanistan, same thing.
Mhm.
There's just, we went in and, took out Gaddafi and, all
Mhm.
these different things that we involve ourselves in, and
Mhm.
like, to what end? What
And
is it?
Gaddafi was
Yeah.
holding back the migrant tidal wave that is now hitting the European nations. Like,
Well, they had a great, they had a really good thing going.
Mhm.
I mean, he understood the culture and the people and how to control
Mhm.
them. Now we just have chaos. The more that we try to mitigate the chaos in the Middle East, it just seems to, it's like smacking a hornet's nest with a stick.
Right. Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it's really hard because, yeah, they took out nuclear facilities. What were they? Were
Mhm.
they enriching for a bomb? Or were they not?
Mhm. Absolutely.
You know,
And this is where I do want to emphasize, like, I think there's a battle to fight on both fronts with not only Iran but with Bibi. I think the fight that we take to Bibi is monetary battle. I think um the Israel conversation is much more focused around this usury system and this building a house of cards and perpetual debt, creating this facade of value. Um, I think Bitcoin, in and of itself, with its existence, what it is, and the further adoption of it, is going to be that battleground. I really do feel that way, and I was feeling kind of aggravated as I was driving around on um, my lawnmower, because it's like every day, you know, in when Wall Street's open Monday through Friday, the only thing that is like in control is these damn ETFs. That what are they? They're Larry Fink, and look at his connections. Look at what dual citizenship Larry Fink has. And then we're wondering what's 21 Capital up to with Howard Lutnick. Look at his background. They're all on the same team. And so it's almost like the Bibi side's trying to co-opt and control and they're doing a damn good job of it, because retail is cooked. Retail doesn't have any money. They're absolutely out there struggling like hell. And if we think that the debt is bad now, I mean, we're going to go into a debt spiral out of this. Like, bet if we don't see this calm down, I'm of the opinion we'll add $10 trillion to the balance sheet in a very, very short amount of time. I think that,
I see nothing good coming from this.
yeah, we are going to have to print the fake facade of the system is going to expand. And it took a lot of things to get us to the point that we're at right now. This is a great note.
And nobody's going to buy that debt.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the crazy part about it, is that, this stable coin, this Genius Act, they're designing a system where the Treasury can now just print its own stable coins. And then guess what it's going to do? It's going to buy treasuries. They're going to use this stable coin.
They're going to buy their own bullshit,
right, with our tech, with crypto's tech. That's the crazy part about this. That's the crazy part about this, Vet, right? Let's look at this too. And it took a long time to get to this convoluted moment. Who funded Iran's nuclear program? Obama gave them $150 billion. Biden gave $16 billion. People are calling this treason.
They didn't necessarily, just to be clear, they didn't necessarily give it to them. They released Iran's seized money back to them.
That's a good clarification. Good clarification. Absolutely.
But you are correct. That money has allowed them to do a lot of, have the liquidity to invest in, this. And then
think
also
about what they want to do. They want to print $10 trillion for AI and power nuclear power facilities. Now they're going to top it off with a expansionary war into Iran. Like, Iran is not a small country. It's not a small deal. This is not like, I mean, Iran is a huge, huge country, and they actually are a pretty big military in relevance. One thing about them is that they're extremely, extremely embedded into the actual process of fighting as well. Like, Iranians, the Iranian military, they're not like the Chinese military that have just got all these Wayfair bulletproof masks on. Like, these guys know how to dig into the ground, obviously. And their state media is coming out with messages like this, and this is where kind of the message might be coming a little bit close to home here. Let's pull this up here real quick. This is so much crap. I'm getting off my chest right now.
Oh, dude, you're good, man.
آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و جنایت علیه ایران انجام داد، دیگه جایی در منطقه غرب آسیا نداره. آقای رئیس جمهور آمریکا، شما شروع کردید و ما تمومش خواهیم کرد.
Not
Yeah, what
great.
he said.
Not great. Right?
What he said.
So this guy, this is state television for Iran. Let's pull this down just a bit. So, Mr. Trump, you started this. We will end this. The reason why I worry about this, like, this goes along with statements that every citizen or military in the region at the bases are a target, but this goes back to my thoughts on how many sleeper cells we've been finding in the United States.
I can speak on that if you want.
Yes, please do. Absolutely.
So, obviously, being in the military, I was active Army, active Marines, and was active National Guard. And so I have friends that, prior service, stuff like that work on the border. One of which SF guy, pilot in the Guard, and flies, does patrols and stuff on the border. The stuff that they tell me, and this is, I think me and you even talked about this, like last year or something like that, but the stuff that they find on the border, it's not just people from Central and South America. I mean, there's Chinese, there's African, and there's a lot of Muslims that come across.
Yes.
Not to say that all of them have, bad intentions. However, they're finding prayer rugs and Qurans and, papers that they destroy because, not to sound, racist, but they look a lot alike. It's a lot of the Mexicans will actually dime them out where they're like, they don't speak Spanish. And, but a lot of people have gotten in. And if you look in Michigan, I mean, freaking Michigan, there's whole cities that are now instituting Sharia law. It's, there's videos where they're doing protests right now and stuff like that. There's a lot of potential for a lot of bad things to happen. And like you said, sleeper cells, Iran is the largest funder of terror. I mean, you can agree with, or not with, and like Trump or not, but facts are facts. It's like investing in crypto.
Yeah.
Data doesn't lie. And, Iran is usually behind, any terrorist acts, and especially in the West, and they're not shy about advertising it.
Well, the Houthi battles, the Houthis have been and continue to be funded by Iran.
I thought you said Houthi battles.
Houthi battles.
The damn Houthis.
Yeah, I mean, the damn Houthis at the Strait of Hormuz, that's been kind of an ongoing battle that, I knew Iran was funding in the background, and I do want to warn people of that, because we are overrun with a subsect of people that are now going to be intrinsically inclined to act out in their locations. We're getting warnings. The U.S. military is briefing its troops. Strike on Iran is expected to trigger counterattacks on American bases and facilities across the Middle East, and could also activate Iran-backed and other forced taken as terrorist organization cells abroad, including within the United States, to target Americans. These are the types of things that can more directly affect you here in the United States if you don't have your head on a swivel, and if you don't know what to look out for. And yeah, there's going to be, I don't want to, I do think it's going to happen, man. At a degree of how big, I don't know how many, but it's going to happen, in my opinion. Like their frame of it's an idea that's spread like wildfire from the invasion of Iraq, Gaddafi, all those things that you've listed, Veteran Crypto. We're here in America, and this is our country, and we still call out these problems. Think about how the people on the other side of the spectrum feel, right? That's been a feeling that's fermented into this decentralized chaos that is at a boiling point. And someone's asking me what chair is in the back. Actually, that's like a fake background. I am sitting on a chair. It's like a designer chair or something that my wife got. And ever since I have breached the 230-pound level, Veteran, this chair is not going to make it. Okay. This chair is not going to make it.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
It's aesthetically pleasing, but yeah. So, and we've seen some weird things go on. Yeah, Wayfair Astro, seriously. So this is the password breach, and I'd imagine a lot of these 16 billion passwords are old passwords left behind.
Yeah.
But, just keep cognizant that the main thing I saw last week before we went into the weekend was that China is now releasing pretty concise data and research articles on what an actual grid down scenario would look like here in the United States, how you would actually pull that off. So China's been clearly researching us, and they are feeling just fine releasing the data. I'm going to change my background now, because now I can't unsee the weird, chair behind me here.
I know.
I'm going to go back to my other one.
So Jay asked a good question. Where do you guys think the top U.S. targets are? And I'm guessing he means like if Iran had sleeper cells. It really depends on their desired outcome. It really depends on if they're wanting to do max damage. Are they wanting to just cripple our capabilities? Are they wanting to cause chaos and destruction here? Are they wanting to actually kill Americans? It really depends.
Yeah.
Honestly, I personally think the most destructive thing would be an attack on the power grid. If they could take our power grid down, it would basically be cutting our Achilles heel.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to kind of dig into that after I do agree with Peter here that I think New York City, because of the population density, or LA, because it's got a high population, but also a very, very intrinsic social clout of importance within American culture. I think New York City or Los Angeles would be the places that I would have the highest level of alert on, but honestly, any city center, and any place that has a heavy demographic of, the backgrounds that primarily come out of Iran. So I'm trying to be sensitive, and it's kind of awkward to kind of dance around this. But I wanted to kind of dig into what you just said, Veteran. The grid, the transformers that hold up the grid. The last I looked into this, granted,
we talked about it on a black site before.
Yeah, it was around like the mid 30s, like 30 something transformers, main transformers in the United States. Isn't it the right around that? And then you have to, if they were to stop about 9 of them, I believe. But the
Well, there's a
problem is,
cascade effect.
right.
So basically by taking out, key nodes, basically. I mean, think of it like a DAG, like
Mhm.
because that's basically how the power grid's set up. It's
Mhm.
like a spider web. But there is key centers where they all come together like hubs. And if you
Mhm.
take out take out uh, specific ones, then what happens is the computers try to reroute. It happened on the East Coast.
Mhm.
I think it was, what was it, in the 90s or 80s?
Mhm.
And basically we were like 5 minutes. I think it was 5 minutes away from the entire East Coast going, basically the grid getting fried
Mhm.
and not being able to come back up for months.
Right.
And imagine what would happen if that cascade effect was across the whole US. Most of the electrical transformers are made in Mexico and China.
Mhm.
And with, you got to figure that China is aligned with Iran. That's who they get their oil from.
Mhm.
So they're not going to, go against them. So basically what you're looking at is, if they took out the power grid,
Mhm.
you have hospitals that usually have about, I think it's a week worth of diesel fuel.
Right. Right.
And you have grocery stores that have no refrigeration. Trucks are going to stop rolling, so supplies stop moving. Medical supplies, a lot of stuff like that needs to be refrigerated and cooled, like insulin, goes bad.
Mhm.
A lot of other medications go bad.
And a lot of
So,
medications are made in China too, right?
and if not made there, the materials to make them are made there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's not good. No matter
Yeah.
how you look at it, war is never a good thing. And, just because it's halfway around the world doesn't mean it's not going to affect us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they obviously, with this news, it has pretty immediately and drastically affected the crypto market. Bitcoin, not so much. So let's just kind of talk through this. I have some questions I want to ask you, veteran crypto, about how you're handling this major market pullback on altcoins. So Bitcoin is honestly insanely strong, given the context of this situation at hand, in my personal opinion. I'll get this a little bit bigger. So Bitcoin has not breached below $100,000, even with America bombing Iran, which I am absolutely shocked by. Um, your general moving average sitting here at about $95,000, which by all rights, in the context of the macroeconomics or the geopolitical situation, these shelves should be taken seriously in this moment. Now, altcoins have, instead of a small little bump in the road, like as we see on Bitcoin, have decided to receive a bludgeoning to the head from a blunt force object. It has been. So what is this? Like, look at this chain
Sorry,
links.
I laugh at everything. Nothing phases me anymore.
I mean, dude, it's $11.90 for Chainlink, and I want to frickin' give Sergey Nazarov a titty twister. Plume under 8 cents, Avalanche at $16. XRP is going to lose this $2 level, and XRP Army is probably going to light cities on fire. Constellation Dag's actually still nice and up. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And just looking at this, I am like still up on basically every single of these positions. Ondo, my average is at 40 cents, 42 cents on Ondo, and it's at 68 right now. So I am still in technical profit. Moonwell, I'm down. My average is 3 cents on Moonwell. I'm down on that one. It's at 2.5 cents. Ethereum, I shouldn't even have on here. I have like $50 in Ethereum, so that doesn't even count. Cardano, I'm down. My average is 70 cents on Cardano. Morpho, I'm up, but barely. Average entry is 90 cents. We had just hit a 100% gain in a month, and all of those gains have just been absolutely wiped away, right? So I feeling aggravation, but here's Aerodrome. At least Aerodrome is doing decent on the month, so it's not a monthly graph. How are you're doing DeFi and you're actively making crypto, veteran? Are you leaving those rewards in whatever altcoin it is? Or are you putting it into stable coins? Are you putting into Bitcoin? Because I will tell you what I'm doing is I'm trading better than I ever have in my life. And honestly, it's insane how profitable I've been.
You've been killing it.
But I put it all into Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sorry. I still hold my chain link and all these other things, but I am actively buying Bitcoin with Tether that I win trading. And I'm thinking in terms of percentage. My goal is to gain 5% of Bitcoin a week. If I can gain 5% of a Bitcoin a week, I'm feeling good about myself. Veteran, what are you doing with the crypto that you're earning in these pools? Are you leaving it in the altcoins, or what's your approach in this situation?
I'm treating it, and I'm sharing my screen if you want to throw it up, but
Yeah,
basically what I'm doing is I have my DeFi portfolio and I have my bull run bag. And basically what I'm doing with all my earnings, I mean, currently I'm earning $144 a day, which is 4,333 a month. And it's all going back into buying alts. And because it's like DCAing with free money, with free crypto. So, I mean, there's no better way to DCA than with, free. I haven't bought like with my own money. I haven't bought any crypto since October.
Jesus Christ. So you're adding to your altcoin bags.
Yeah.
In this situation.
I started out with 15 grand. Even with all of this dumping, I have
That's a
almost
good point.
$40,000 in my DeFi portfolio.
That's a good point. You've gained a lot. That is a great point. Man. I mean,
like
look at us though. We're not losing during this market, at least.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you can hodl. I mean, there's people that are hodling, but you're watching your value go down. I equate it to, and I just did this on our live we just did. I mean, it's similar to, not exactly, because alts and stuff, Bitcoin will go back up, but it's almost like holding fiat, dirty fiat in a bank account and watching inflation destroy it. You can sit back and stress about these markets dumping, or you can learn to trade. You can learn to DeFi, and from people like you and me and Josh and Kelly and all the trusted people that we have around us, and learn how to take control and grow your bags using OPM, other people's money.
I mean, dude, if we do have this damn altcoin market return, you are going to make so much damn money off of that. That is absolutely, I mean, I will too, from still holding the alts. But that's fucking crazy, man. So
all of these positions started with one wrapped ETH USDC. I mean, you remember when I first got in and you interviewed me, I had about 8 grand or 7 grand in this pool. And I've peeled off some of it since then to get in these other things. But, basically all of this is all free money that, that I've just poured back into it. Because the reason that this is 3,000 is because ETH took a dump. I mean, it was like, 4,000, 4,200, then, which, if it goes back up to that, then this will be, back to my initial investment. But all of this, all this Arrow, all the Plume, all the KTA, all the AVAX, just all of this is all free money. So
absolutely incredible.
When the markets pump, then I mean, I'm going to have a couple $100 grand in my DeFi portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All from 15 grand.
I mean, that is some moves, man. That is absolutely some moves. My trading experience, it's like I started with $400, got the account up to like 2 grand, then got beat down to $200, got that up to 2 grand, got beat down again to $400, and then I got it up. I've pulled essentially like a good 30 out in the last like month and a half or something like that.
Pulled out a dirty 30.
Yeah, I mean, like, but that year or two where I was going up and down from the 400 to the 2000 back down, that was like my learning curve. And then over the past year, I've really started to get into that flow. And honestly, like, that's amazing. Now I'm going to expand into your realm and actually put these bags to work, because I have many ways, and it's going to be, very, very different if the market rolls over. There are some interesting things to look at on the market that make you go,
Well, you're going to be killing it with the way that you've been, profiting from trading. And then also, if you get into DeFi to where you're just earning that passive, that passive dry powder. Because even if you get into full range positions and lending, I mean, hell, just off of Arrow USDC, you can earn 40% APR,
right,
30 to 40% APR with no range. No matter what the price of Arrow does, you're basically hodling Arrow and earning 40% APR.
Yeah.
And that's just, a couple hundred, bucks a day, a month, a week, depending on how much you have in there, that you can just use to trade with. And if you lose it, it's like, oh, okay, well, I lost free money. Okay. You can be a lot less emotional about it.
Where this just looks like a maddening institutional slow grind up to the sky for Bitcoin. Like, we are very far away from this moving average on the weekly. Yeah, this is the 200 day moving average right here. And you can see, there's a lot of people trying to say that this peak and this peak of the last market look exactly like these two peaks. I could see where that idea comes to mind. But I really, really feel in my heart of hearts that, with the things, the bullish underlayment of what's actually going on, like Texas rolling out its strategic reserve, that happened. We actually got to go through this. God, this is the sentiment. It's just, I didn't sell. Oh my God, that was loud. This is the vibe though, just people just absolutely maddened. You have to, I'm really glad that me and you have found our own routes in making money during this painful time for the altcoin.
Oh, dude, I'll be honest. I'd be losing my shit if I was just hodling right now. I do not blame people for freaking out.
Yeah.
And I don't need the money that I have invested in crypto. I can only imagine if, it was like, hey, this is money that I need.
Right.
I can only imagine what people would be feeling like. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I can't stress it enough. I mean, you can see me in the chats. I'm always screaming from the rooftops. It's, learn how to trade, learn DeFi, whatever flavor floats your boat, but get into something, because just sitting back and, watching the markets go up and down and watch the market makers manipulating the market and, liquidating, the longs and the shorts, off and on, you're going to go nuts.
Yeah.
Take control.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay, you unhinged person, you.
Jay's my boy. He's always out there.
And my Patton, he's got exactly what I plan on doing with you, Vet. It's combining the methods and combining like the ranges I've gotten figured out with your know-how on getting in and out of pools. I'm not locking anything for years on end.
No, that's not for everybody.
Right. That's not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even lock Bitcoin, it's just.
Well, I just got done doing a whole episode on building out a portfolio, a DeFi portfolio. And part of that is what you're talking about is what is your risk tolerance and what is your financial goals?
Yeah.
Because your financial goals is very different than mine.
Right.
You have, kids, young kids, a wife, you have a property, you're, in the middle of your career. I'm retired. I have no kids. I'm in a very different place and very different goals. And when you're building out a portfolio, you need to understand what those things are, because if you don't have goals and you don't understand where you're at and where you're going, it's like trying to navigate in the woods from where you're at to, a certain place with no map and no compass.
100%.
You have no direction.
100%.
So, and actually, I wanted to ask you this real quick. Sorry.
What's up? Oh, you're fine.
Have you built out your ladder out strategy yet?
My ladder out strategy is to jeet everything. When I see when I see the very specific thing happen on the pairing charts. So, that timing, I'd love to say, oh, I know exactly when it's going to be. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. It's damn near impossible to say exactly when it's going to be. This is what the chaos that we're dealing with right now is. We are getting a red dot on the momentum wave on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin already at a 43. This is insane. Usually these momentum waves on the upper hand echelon reach the 60 level, then start printing. And you have this one, but you're in a red money flow situation. In a green money flow situation, you are very much more often getting these nasty signals when you're above the 60. Now, do I think it's over?
You guys are like speaking Greek when you talk like this.
Well, but I don't think it's over though, because here's why. Not only do we have Benjamin Cowan's, signal and, basically the lineup. I do need to find it here in a second, but the pi cycle top indicator, I still feel very, very strongly about. I think the pi cycle top indicator is going to be a great roadmap for people that are kind of navigating this insane fear. And where we are right now is, hopefully I can get this to work. Oh, it just hid it from me. I'll go full screen real quick. So we have a lot of room between the 350-day moving average times 2 and the 111-day moving average. This is telling me that this is slow, maddening chop to the upside. This is not your parabolic hockey stick movements that we're used to. The hockey stick movement that I'm seeing is on the Bitcoin dominant side. And I think for the season that we're in, this is a concept TJ had ran by me about a month ago. And I've been thinking about it very, very intensely since TJ said this. We are dealing with a more sophisticated Bitcoin holder. We are dealing with much more sophisticated levels of Bitcoin holders now. And what's going on is the alt season isn't in alts. The alt season is derived from Bitcoin dominance starting to look like a parabolic hockey stick. Look at that. And then you go over to institutional Wall Street plays in crypto, like Coin and Circle. These Bitcoiners, this is where alt season
picks and shovels.
This is where alt season is right now. Also another one, let's just kind of go through this MSTR, MicroStrategy. If we want to look for where's alt season, it's right fucking here. This is where the alt season went. It's because we're dealing with a more sophisticated Bitcoin investor. And
I think a lot of this is because of institutional investing. There's no retail in the market right now. There's some of us like those listening and us, but there's really no retail. Most of the money that's flowing, the liquidity that's flowing right now, because most of us are just hodling, maybe trading a little bit, maybe doing a little DeFi. The bulk of the money that's moving right now is institutional money.
100%.
And they know what they're doing. And so they're investing in coin, they're investing in MicroStrategy, they're investing in the picks and shovels of the industry.
This is the interest. It is insanely, this is the worst part about this bull market is comparing Bitcoin to Taylor Swift. And thank God we're winning barely. We're barely winning again. So you ask when I'm selling my altcoins, Vet. I mean, I'm looking at MicroStrategy, I'm looking at Coin doing things like this. I still feel like alts are going to have their move, but I think it's going to be a fake out. Like, everyone's like, oh, my alt's going to replace Bitcoin, or AVAX is the next big thing. I think AVAX is a good contender. It's going to continue to ride this slow train down to hell against Bitcoin, in my
People
opinion.
need to stop marrying their bags. I mean, even as bullish as I am on Plume and these other projects, KTA and things like that, I'm here to make money. I don't give a shit about the project. It's I'm here to make money.
Absolutely. Look at this. I think even if, because I feel the same way as you, but AVAX is good enough to contend. I think even if this continues to go to zero, like gold's going to zero against Bitcoin, like every fucking thing on the planet is going to zero against Bitcoin. It's undeniable. Just look at the Bitcoin to whatever chart. Bitcoin's the alpha. I could see, us coming down and then doing a little hopeful rally to the upside against this downward trend line on AVAX. And these things happen in a very, very short amount of time. And I used this graph in March of 24 right here, that mystical, why did Drew sell when we had so much more room to run? Because of this, because of these weekly gains against Bitcoin. At the time, it wasn't so exciting to talk about pairing charts, and I haven't forgiven myself for not emphasizing the importance of these pairing charts enough to everyone else around me. I was just keeping them in my purview and understanding my wife and her goals and the timing of how much money I could pull out of the market to meet those goals and my goals. And I pulled the trigger, and this is,
you got to live life. And like I said, that's what I was talking about is, you got a wife, you got young kids, you got a property that you're improving, you're homesteading, you need vehicles, things like that. And I mean, that's what this is about. That's what crypto is about. That's what trading is about. That's what DeFi is about. It's about changing or improving your financial situation so you're not like the majority of people out there right now that are living off credit cards.
Absolutely.
If you could earn a couple of $100 a month, you're not going to get rich off a meme coin or something like that. But if you're struggling to get by and put food on the table, what would $200 a month do for you? What would $300 a month do for you?
Right.
It's a car payment. It's a week or two of groceries. That is the way you need to think is crawl, walk, run. Don't come into this trying to get rich quick because you're going to get broke quick. You need to take a stance, or an approach to where you crawl, walk, run. You crawl, you get the knowledge, you get the education, you listen to Blockchain Basement, and you listen to trusted people that have your best interest at heart that aren't shilling to you. You learn these skills, these skill sets, and you slowly deploy your liquidity and test things out, try them out, trial and error. And as you figure things out, you ramp up. And you get to a point to where, like Drew, I remember when I first met you, you really weren't doing a whole lot of trading. You were still trying to figure it out. And then something clicked for you. And you started making some really good profits on, doing these short-term shorts and longs.
Well, shorts, I haven't really like I've gotten some really pretty good shorts in. I've been leaving shorts alone. But I am in the process of sharpening my sword when it comes to shorts. Trying to get ready for 2026 when I can short the living shit out of the altcoin sector. But I've learned to leave certain days alone. I've learned to leave Mondays alone. I've learned to leave Fridays alone. And I've learned to leave the weekends alone.
Weekends are a good one to leave alone. There's way too low a volume and it's way too easy to manipulate. If you could throw up my screen
Yeah.
real quick, I wanted to touch on this because this is something that we offer for free in the Discord. I've put this and my one tracker that I was sharing here, you know, my DeFi tracker with the dashboard, and you can put your bull run tracker with all your holdings and things like that. But this one is equally as important. This is the basically a ladder out strategy. It's 100% free in the Discord. Come in there, you know, again, make a copy of it, do with it as you will, but you list out your holdings, you know, and then you put in the percentages of, you know, the levels and the price that you want to take profits. And it automatically calculates how many tokens that is and what the value will be at that time. And so basically it maps out for you, you know, based off of your inputs of, you know, this is how I'm going to ladder out of my positions if things start to pump. It takes the emotion out of your decision making so that you can start hitting these take profit points and just, you know, again, it's logical. You already have it mapped out. You don't get caught up in the FOMO. You don't get caught up in the emotion, and it will tell you, you know, it will total it all up and tell you, like for me, if I hit all my take profit points with what I have in here currently, I'll have $523,000, almost $524,000. If I hit all my take profit points. Probably won't happen, but it gives you an idea. Again, you know, when you're building out your portfolio and you're building out your strategies, you need to understand your risk tolerance and your financial goals. And this is part of it. Is, you know, if you're trying to make enough money to where you can retire, if you're trying to make enough money to pay off your house, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, you need to have solid plans on how to do it. You need to dial in your plan, just like a military, you know, mission. You need to sit down and you figure out, okay, what resources do I have? What is my objective? You know, and you figure, you know, basically what we call reverse planning, and you figure out, okay, to accomplish that, this is what I need. And then
something I've learned is to be reasonable too.
Realistic.
I taught myself a lesson. Okay, you'll like this story. So, you know, I've been kind of snooping Corvettes. You know, I've been starting to pull off some pretty big trades, and I was like, you know,
what year?
Looking like 2016, like the new Stingrays. They're looking good.
Well, my brother owns a Chevy dealership, a part owner in a Chevy dealership when you're ready.
Well, I went to a car show and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit in one and I'm just going to make sure I fit. I don't fit. I don't. I
So you're like OJ in the glove.
It shrunk. The blood shrunk it a little bit. So, you know, I don't fit in the Corvette. I don't fit in the Supra. I don't fit in any of my favorite race cars. And I was kind of I was living in my mind of like the race cars that I built when I was a kid.
You need a muscle car.
I know, dude. I know. But fuck, dude.
American muscle, brother.
The Hellcats are everywhere out here, but they're not like everyone has them out here. You know, God, I don't know. So, yeah, you have a very interesting approach, and I like your approach to this market. I have that bag of alts as well. You know what I see. I do want to look at the total 3 to just see how ugly things have gotten here. Because boy, howdy, you know what? But this is the psyop, man. Is because this is total 3, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it includes stable coins, right? So we're including stable coins. I mean, stable coins have been absolutely exploding, but I don't know, man. It like the alts are below their 200 moving average.
Like, where did Isaac go?
Oh, he probably went to bed.
I thought maybe he got shanghaied in the military.
We worked hard. It's been a battle. I know Corvettes now are amazing. I just don't fucking fit in the damn thing. God, that is so painful for me to realize. Veteran is like,
oh, dude, you're a big boy, man. It's like I
it's the
said,
knees. It's like I'm not even fat. It's just the knees. Like there's no leg room, So,
I mean, you might be able to get it freaking modified or something. I guess.
no way, no way.
You should just go with American Muscle, man. You'd
Oh,
look good like in an old Plymouth Fury with like a 454 or something along those lines. You
yeah.
got the bench seat in the front where you and your lady could be sitting there chilling. And
she hates old muscle cars though.
what?
Yeah, she doesn't like them.
Man,
But it is what it is. It is what it is. I was
I'll convert her. I'll convert her.
Yeah. It is what it is. Maybe the 2025 GTO, maybe the 2025 GTO. I did when I was in high school. I built an old school GTO. That was absolutely sick. So it's on my mind. Altcoins, man. I mean, not gonna lie, it looks rough. Not gonna lie, it looks rough. We might be dealing with a much more sophisticated Bitcoin trader. And when we do see those, because I do think altcoins will have that momentary pump up against Bitcoin and like a short little speculation season against a very expensive Bitcoin, which will give them a great movement. I'm cheating all of them. I don't care. It is what it is. I really, I'm not going to feel bad about it. There's no one from the Chainlink community that's going to be like, taking care of my bills or my life should the chain continue to go down and to the right. No one cares.
No.
So yeah, I'm selling it all into Bitcoin real estate. The moment that I see a few weeks of weekly gains against Bitcoin for those altcoins, I'm hardcore cheating them. I don't care. I'm not sorry about it. I don't care.
Dude, I'm the same way. The only difference is I'm going into stables just to lock that value in, and I'm going to DeFi those stables and earn like 10 or 20%. Because I mean, even with $100,000, 20% is 20 grand a year.
Yeah,
and if I can just have that free money to reinvest in the DeFi and stuff like that, I can just keep building. And once the markets dump, if they dump, or if there's a pullback of some kind, I have dry powder and I'm going to start buying Bitcoin then. It's like, should I buy it now? Probably. I mean, I'd be way up if, over the whole bear market, if I just would have been buying Bitcoin, I'd be, up more than I am now. But honestly, I'm looking for more. I'm looking for more.
Yeah.
I'm looking for at least a 10x of my portfolio.
Well, I'm speaking from a place where it's like my average entry on Chainlink is like 390 and I'm still aggravated. Like I can't imagine how pissed off people are that we're top blasting the $30 top.
Yeah.
All that stuff, it's something.
I really do. People that are, new to the market or, they were buying, during the pump back in, November, December, thinking that it was the beginning of, alt season and all that, jazz. I feel for people, and but it's like you said, you need to be realistic. It's when you invest, you can't invest off emotion. You cannot invest off of hype. You need to put in the work. You need to educate yourself on how crypto works, how trading works, how DeFi works, and, position yourself for slow growth, for good, steady growth, and not try to get rich quick, because you are going to get wrecked. There's people a lot smarter than me and you that are manipulating these markets, and they're going to take your liquidity if you try to get rich quick.
Yeah. Look at this. This is a fascinating chart, Vet. This is the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stable coins.
Yeah,
to Bitcoin. Yeah, this is all compared to Bitcoin. So very, very interesting. These total three charts.
Cool for that. That was like 5 ranges, just where it ranged 5 times. I'd love to fucking earn on that thing.
And this is, you know, the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins matters quite a bit in this instance. But again, you know, the moment that I see those pairing charts, I'm going to be gladly jeeting straight into Bitcoin. And I'm thinking in percentages of Bitcoin. I'm back to that thought process. This is a funny chat. When Isaac goes off to war, can we replace him with veteran crypto? Chill, dude. God,
nobody can replace Isaac. We love Isaac.
He actually, I don't know if he's going to be allowed to, but he wants to call in and like, you know,
he's not calling in shit.
I know. Yeah, great. Like having Isaac around the last like year, maybe it's been a year and a half. It's been really awesome seeing him come into his stride, and he's a good dude.
Yeah. No, he's definitely what's that saying? Coming into his own, or growing into his skin, or
his shoulders are all big now and stuff, and he's like, you should have seen him today. He got a haircut. He's no longer in Quincy Ocha look. He's got a haircut. He's more Giga Chad looking, now and stuff. It's crazy. But you know what? We'll see if these markets turn around. I'm pretty shocked at the performance of Bitcoin compared to altcoins. The dominance on Bitcoin, kind of looks like a 170%. That's not too far away. So we'll see if it peters out. But as of right now, this is that hopeful moment where the golden pocket was going to try and stop Bitcoin dominance. And Bitcoin was like, yeah, why don't you kiss my ass? And, so here we go again. It's broken up to the upside. I do wonder what the Dixie is looking like. Things are getting crazy, man. Things are absolutely getting crazy. And this is a crazy metric. So another metric on, when the bottom and when the top comes. So the Dixie hit these very low levels right at like this is May of 2021. So we were hitting these real low spots May 2021, right around that first initial Bitcoin pump up to $64,000. We've fallen down. The Dixie is hitting old school levels of support now from the 2015 timeframe, 2017, and 2020. I would, from a TA perspective, expect at least a dead cat bounce on this. And, if we're lucky and, M2 money supply keeps expanding and the dollar power keeps diminishing. And it's sad that we are, lucky seeing the dollar diminishing, but there is no denying that the M2 is on its way back up again. So it's broken out. This is the amount of money circulating. And God only knows where this is going to end up at the end of this war. This is going to probably be $30 trillion, 35
my
trillion
life.
Yeah. So it is what it is. That's the situation at hand. Really appreciate you coming on the show though with me, Ben.
Absolutely, brother. But everyone out there, just kind of my closing thoughts is don't stress. It does no good to stress about things you have no control over. Just focus in, look at, your life, your loved ones, take care of your own, figure out things like, what Drew's teaching with, and Kelly, teaching trading, keep an eye on what's going on, stay knowledgeable. Just don't let it affect you emotionally. Don't stress, nothing good is going to come of it. And just, basically figure out ways, like I said, crawl, walk, run, figure out ways with trading or DeFi or, a second job or whatever to start, earning some extra income and start to change your financial situation for you and your family. Because, things are changing. AI robotics is, taking jobs. I was talking, doing an interview, long story short, unemployment's going up. And it's not just blue collar jobs. It's white collar jobs.
100%. 100%.
You know, so just
I think what you're talking about, first and foremost, the job losses are going to be in the white collar sector because AI it's doing white collar positions. It's not a plumber. You don't have AI crawling under your sink to fix a leak, you know.
And
so
real estate agents, a lot of that's going to go away. A lot of brokers like stock brokers and stuff with smart contracts and automation. AI, things are changing. They're changing fast, and you need to figure out how you're going to position yourself to best either take advantage or not of other people, but take advantage of the change to position yourself in a better position. Or you can sit by like everybody else, blind to what's going on, and you can end up like everybody else.
100%. I'll
end with that.
Israel closed its airspace for landings and takeoffs just now. That's great. You know what? Just keep your head on a swivel. Where I think things are going, I think Bitcoin is the black hole that is going to absorb all world finance over the next 30 years. I think if we think in terms of how much percent of a Bitcoin can I get out of this move, how much percent of a Bitcoin is this worth? If we think in terms of that, I think you guys are going to be set up in a way that we can't even imagine 10, 20 years from now. We have to think in those time frames to really experience that expansion. I think it's coming. I really do.
And people out there, don't get down. Honestly, I cannot stress this enough. I see everybody out there, in the Twitterverse and all that. Don't get down. Just nut up. You're going to be okay. Trust me. People have been through far worse than what we're dealing with right now.
Okay, let me ask you if I'm overdoing something real quick before we go. Okay.
All right.
So my buddy, he's a professional Muay Thai fighter, and he trains. His name is Dan Wilson. And, he's got a lot of fights under his belt. He fights bare knuckle and very strong. He's shorter than me. He's my age, still a pro. And he started this challenge about 5 months ago, where the goal was to punch 1,000 times a day in a row quickly. Hard jabs, 1,000 hard jabs as quick as you can. You take 30-second breaks in between each set of 100, and then you increased it to sets of 200, right? So you're doing sets of 200 punches. You take 30 seconds, you breathe, you do that 5 sets. I've kind of gone ballistic with it, and I might be overdoing it. I've gotten to the point where I'm pulling off 3,400 punches in 40 minutes. But it's coming out to like 15 or 16,000 hits a week. And I feel incredible. I just wonder if I'm like overdoing it, like, because it doesn't read as normal when I look at like what the pros are practicing at. It makes me feel good.
Are you worried about just wear and tear on your joints or connecting tissues, or what are you worried about?
Maybe I'm not feeling anything though. Honestly, I feel strong, and I'm not.
Don't go off that though, because injuries come back. Things that seem small at the time, they come back and haunt you later. Trust me.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not feeling any weird tinges or anything like that. So, and with this altcoin season, the way it's been, it feels good to hit something 3,400 times every single day. I will say that. And maybe, when I grow the channel big enough, I can actually get a fight that they'll pay me for, and I can go in there and, get on the fighter thing. Because I want to do that. It's just, I don't want to go do it for free. I want to go get some money.
Your pop's got it right. Old Patton McCrotch. He says, you'll feel it when you're 60, young buck. I added the young buck.
Man, I'm going to just start doing roids when I'm like 45 or something like that. Start doing the TRT. I haven't ever done them. So I'm a clean slate.
Be real careful with that. Yeah. Once you start taking stuff like that, your body stops producing it naturally, and you have to take it.
Yeah. I'll start late. I'll start when I'm an old man. When I'm 60.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, if your body stops producing it, that's another story.
When I'm 60, I can get robot arms and just.
That's the hack. That's the hack.
Shit, I got this all figured out. All right, guys. Bet really awesome having you on the show, man. We'll see how this altcoin market reacts overnight. Honestly, I am gonna leave the trades alone still, and just stick with what's working for me. I'm gonna start the trades back up on Tuesday. Get a lay of the land after Monday's price action. I fucking love you guys. Stay positive, stay focused, stay prepared, and love everyone that's in your life. That's what I would say. Sorry, I'm gonna cut the stream now. We're heading out. I'm going to bed. See you guys.